Hello and welcome back to the Harry Man Show, episode 85. Today we have a good friend, Tommie Bevardos. Tommie's here. He's going to talk about his history in playing drums, what he's been through, and his William Drumheads. He's a big endorser for him, and we're going to hear a lot about the product. How you doing, Tommie?
Good, man. How are you? It's glad to be here.
Yeah, we went about a couple of weeks ago, and you introduced me to the product, and I've been digging them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Most people get happy when they first try them out. It's just taking the chance.
Yeah, and I obviously you pointed out I like them for low tuning, but they've been taking a beating for my daily routine here. So
I have definitely noticed that as well. The durability is ridiculous, especially on the model that you have with the reinforcing dot and all that kind of good stuff.
yeah, and those are a 2-ply as well too.
Yep. Yep.
So Tommie, I always like going into the origin story. Let's go. What got you into drums in the first place?
Well, way back when, many, many moons ago, 80s kid, growing up with MTV and all that, I just always looked at the drums like the drummers just look cool, man. Just hitting all that kind of stuff. Mom wanted piano lessons. I tried that for a year. Ironically, couldn't get separation between my hands to be able to play a piano, but they give me a pair of drumsticks. I just pretty much beat up all the Tupperware and just made it happen that way.
Yeah. So were you taking lessons, or was it just kind of a self-taught experience for you?
A little bit of both. At first, it was all self-taught, making my fake little drum kit off of pots and pans and trying to emulate the guys on TV. And my best friend, Michael Moore, we grew up together doing it, and it just looked like really cool. And, started trying to emulate what we were seeing and asking a lot of questions and all that. In junior high, is when I had my first taste of actually seeing a real drummer who turned out to be my teacher for about a year by the name of Ed Mars.
What was you playing with?
Oh, he had god dang, dude, this thing is still killer. It's a double bass Ludwig Vistalite kit, and he had pasty 2002s all throughout. And he did a clinic at my junior high.
Really?
Yeah, and there was only 2 of us in the whole clinic. That wanted to be drummers, man. And we went in there, and yeah, man, I was like, there it is, and it's been nonstop ever since.
So how long did you spend teaching or studying under him?
In and around a year, single parent household, money was real tight, so mom tried to make it happen as best she could, and it was just absorb. But MTV was probably the biggest teacher at first.
So who were the big influences for you?
Starting out, obviously, Neil Peart.
Nice.
Driving me crazy. Will Calhoun, Living Color. That was another one when Vivid came out with Cult of Personality. I'm like, oh, man, that's the way to go. But literally at the beginning, it was just huge Rush fan. Huge. Nice. Like, we didn't even know what the damn hi-hat was called. I was calling him, those 2 cymbals that are jumping up and down, and he would ask his buddies because we were at different schools, hey, what's that cymbal called that does this? Oh, that's a hi-hat, but I was just enthralled with the way Neil played, his power and all of that.
Let me guess, Moving Pictures was the big one?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Nice.
And then it just kind of started to snowball from there.
So were you into progressive bands? What were your first bands like?
Oh, God. What, like that I was listening to?
No, in.
Oh, that I was in? Well, the first band I was in, we were doing more alternative type stuff.
Nice.
Primus, Fugazi, and then we started getting a little bit of Fishbone and a little bit of ska, that kind of deal. But that was at first because, hey, I could overplay, right?
Yeah. And was that here in Phoenix or a different town?
No, I was born and raised Santa Monica, so this was all...
you just literally told me that, yeah. Nice.
This was in L.A. I started doing that, so did the whole marching band thing too and all that, so it was cool.
When did you come out to Phoenix?
Oof. That was 2005, I want to say.
Okay, cool. So you spent most of your life out there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the LA scene like in the 90s? Was it like popping, or was it just MTV, everyone's access coming on TV? How was it back then?
Well, there was the transition through all the hair bands and the heavy metal, and the, Nirvana pretty much came in and killed it, at that point. And at that point, there was kind of like a little bit of a gap to where it was a free-for-all, The grunge movement started to take over. So a lot of the huge shows you would see in Hollywood and stuff like that, that kind of simmered down. Bands were more wanting to play more together and do shows together, and it was more about the vibe than it was
Like festival wise.
Yeah, yeah, it was that kind of thing, and but pretty much, yeah, just a free for all, and
So
there
it
was
kind
nothing
of
scripted,
sound like the ego kind of got shooken off at that point.
Big time,
Yeah,
big time.
yeah. Because that hair metal is all about tough badass like fucking.
Right. And I was a little clean cut kid. I didn't have long hair or anything at that time, because I was still in high school in the late 80s, right? So in the 90s is when my heyday started to happen. So, I had the, I don't know, it looked like a tarantula crawled up on my head and died type of hair, you know what I mean? With the jungle boots and, torn up shirts and flannels. That's how you rolled back then.
So did you get to any experience of touring in those years? So what acts were you playing with when it started to kind of pick up for you?
The first one that actually gained a lot of traction was called The Burning, and then a band immediately after that, Burning Blue. And that was my first taste on really, hitting the club scene extremely hard. Playing a bunch of opening shows for bands and then working up to headliner status and things like that, and then the record interests and all that kind of thing. That's pretty much where it started. That was probably about 92 to 94, I want to say.
So did that excite you or wear you out in that experience?
At first, it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And getting in front of record companies and producers and, everything I thought I knew about drums at that point was completely wrong. Serve the song, in the studio, having to be precise, having good time. And things like that, because I was severely an overplayer at that time, and then once you start getting in front of the industry side, of things, and especially with those guys, and you're going into nice recording studios, you get humbled real quick,
Yeah.
and realize you're doing everything wrong. So it was exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
because you just pretty much got to relearn everything. Being a drummer, right? You got to be able to play to a click track and sounds and stuff like that and do it relatively quick. So that was the exhausting part, but playing the shows, no, that was always fun.
Nice. And then how long did it take you to kind of feel comfortable just kind of playing for the song?
Oh, that, I want to say a good 3-4 years, man. There was some, I'm going to call it ego smashing that went on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And were you guys playing with clicks back then live, or was it just kind of a free-for-all?
That was a free-for-all up until a band, the main band that started to get traction for me in particular was a band called The Kinship.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, it was a great learning experience. It had to do with a lot of songwriting, melodies, stuff like that, to where, it wasn't about the drummer filling in all the space. In that band, it was more important to have pocket, groove, and what you didn't play was more important than actually what you did.
Yeah.
And in that particular band we were in, we were like, what, an 8-piece?
Oh, 8?
8-piece,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
dude. And then we had, Hammond B3 and, backup singers, the whole 9 yards, and we started using a click track live for that.
Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts.
Yes, it is, man. It's a lot of push and pull.
So did you feel better on stage when you have a big full sound like that, or did you like the openness? What was your take on that?
I actually preferred playing live to a click.
No, I mean, having a band with that many members, did you feel like there's a lot more air behind you? Like, did it feel...
Oh, yeah, when you go on stage with that many members, because some of the other bands were 3-piece, it was a little more comfortable. It was like we were all there enjoying the party, you know what I mean, when we're on stage.
Yeah, especially when you add keyboards to any element, it just makes everything meaty. It's hard to explain.
Yes, it does.
And your cymbal hits, your bass drum flow, it just, I don't know, it feels better.
For me, it was a thing of, it was more people that I could draw from. So instead of doing big hero drum fills, right, the keyboard player, his name's Mike Mangan, by the way, exceptional freaking keyboard player. I mean, he just got off, world tour with the Cult, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's just incredible musician. He would say go to a high note, like if we're doing a double chorus towards the end, and that little high note would inspire me to do a little something on the hi-hat, and then let's go over to the bell of the ride. Instead of doing your typical, I'm just going to smash stuff, it forced me to become more musical, because I would hit maybe a ghost note thing that the rhythm guitar player's doing, or if the lead guitar player does a thing in the middle of a verse, that's where I'm going to go to a splash and then back over to the ride and the hi-hat, maybe for the keys.
Nice. So it opened up your vocabulary.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, kind of going to the next subject, you kind of told me your story personally. It's kind of been an inspiration that I want other people as well as yourself want other people to hear. But let us know kind of what happened and how you kind of got back into drumming, what you're comfortable with.
Well, long story short, I was out in the desert and I was walking back up to my car, and I never saw the guy, but there was somebody out there that was target shooting. And as soon as I was getting up to my car, walking up an embankment, 4 shots rang out, and it seemed like super close. I didn't know what happened. And it felt like I lost my footing, right? So I dropped to the ground and ended up in a ravine. Well, lo and behold, I got shot.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, I have a 45 slug that entered the rear of my right thigh and ricocheted off my femur and is now lodged in my right knee.
Jesus, dude.
So, go through all that. The doctor says, I'm going to have a hard time walking on a good day specifically. I'll probably always use a cane. On a bad day, I'll always have a walker. Drums are completely out of the question. You're not a drummer anymore.
Jesus.
So I don't take no for an answer. I'm kind of stubborn and hard-headed. So I was like, doctors practice medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a possibility he could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I capitalized on that. Started going to physical therapy. They wanted me to do it once a week for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, what's the insurance going to cover? And they go, you can come here every day, which I did.
Nice.
5 months, trained myself how to walk again, not use a cane, not use a walker. It still gives me a little bit of fits, but at the end of the day, having such a love and a passion for the instrument,
Mm-hmm.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to let it stop me, one way or the other. Now, was there a possibility I wouldn't be able to play the way I used to? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But,
You're very good. I would have never known.
I fake it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're an excellent drummer. If you would have never told me, I would have never thought that. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, dude.
But as you're rehabilitating, were drums on your mind, or was just more just kind of pushing through it? What was getting you to that bug to go forward with it?
I didn't want to be that guy that, you have to hold the door open for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so sorry, like that kind
Yeah.
of thing, feel sorry for me type of thing. It's like, no, this happened. Okay, well, let's figure out how we're going to make it unhappen and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't play drums. It had been, wow, from then till now, we're going 13 years?
Jesus.
13, 14 years, something like that. So I didn't own drums anymore. I got rid of everything because after that, it was emotionally very painful.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I can see that.
Just having to say goodbye to the one thing I've done since I was like 10 years old, and got rid of everything, put everything into storage, like pictures, articles, stuff like that. And people would go, oh yeah, aren't you a drummer, blah, blah, blah. Well, I used to be.
Yeah, it was kind of just a bad memory at that point.
I started putting it in past tense type terms, yeah, oh yeah, you used to play drums. No, you still play, no, I don't, and I just kind of left it at that. So I'm living my life, still doing my thing with my leg, and about 2 years ago, my wife's like, I'm pretty much just sick of looking at you. You need to get back into playing drums. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I mean, I didn't even go into a music store that whole time. It was just too painful on the emotional part of it. It's like, I really want to play, but then I can't. You know what I mean? Or
I could see that being very hard to deal with.
yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster. So on my birthday, she says, hey, let's go take a ride someplace. I'm like, what are you talking about? So we end up at Guitar Center's parking lot over in Tempe.
Nice.
And I'm like, what are you doing? I know we're not going grocery shopping at Sprouts, you know what I mean? I'm like, what is this? Because I didn't want anything for my birthday at Sprouts,
Yeah.
What are you going to give me, a head of lettuce?
We already got orange juice at the house.
Yeah, exactly, man. And so she goes, yeah, let's go into Guitar Center. And it was man, I can't even. It was indescribable the amount of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
that I had doing that. I mean, sweaty palms, like you wouldn't believe. I was like getting the shakes. I'm like, God dang, get a hold of yourself, man.
I don't find humor in a bad way. I just find humor in like understanding that could be like rattling. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, yeah. I mean, I was like, come on, Tommy, pull it together. You're better than that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, suck it up, dude. And so we go inside, and I'm like, oh no, there's the cymbal room with all the snare drums. I'm like, no, I'm not going in there. So I'm just kind of standing there, just looking everywhere but at drum gear, you know?
Yeah.
And finally, she's just like, you know what? Quit being a pansy. Go in there and go hit some stuff, you know? And I'm like, God dang, I don't even own drumsticks anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into that room, and all the emotions started flooding back of, you know, when I first started to play, recording sessions, all the little milestones, you know, just all these things started to happen. And I was like, God dang, dude, this is a trip. And I'm like sweating. You know, I'm like, this is nuts.
That's like an emotional overload.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And so she's like, well, happy birthday. Here's a Roland TD-17
Jesus. That's
KVX,
a nice one.
you know.
Yeah.
And the guy over there was just like, look, if you know, we explained the situation that, you know, we hadn't played and all that. And he's like, well, if it doesn't work out, you can always return it. And I'm like, man. So we go home, we bring up this Roland kit, and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin.
Mhm.
So her and my daughter, they both leave the room. And autopilot starts taking over. Well, yeah, hi-hat goes right here. Here's a snare. You know, here are the toms. Hey, yeah, plug in the cables. It started to become like second nature. And I was like, wow, this is kind of weird. Dude, that first day, I sat down and played. Granted, you know, I'm doing a tom fill. You know, my sticks are clicking all
Yeah.
over the place and all that. It was like riding a bike. It was just like riding a bike. Like I hadn't forgot a damn thing. I didn't have any muscle structure,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like I never stopped. And, you know, and at that point, that first day I played for 5 hours, got blood blisters.
Oh yeah, my hands starting all over again there.
Yep. And I just could not stop. And at that point, the little fire got lit.
So you have an awesome wife, by the way, too. I want to throw that in there.
Have a what?
Awesome wife to support you on
Oh,
it.
yeah, she is, man. She
Yeah.
is, you know, and because I wouldn't have done it. I'd already relegated myself to I don't play drums, you know.
So besides playing, were you starting to kind of like consume media again? Were you like were you in like YouTube crazy rabbit hole? Like were you reading every modern drummer? Like did it just start all over that?
I mean, when it actually lit up again,
Yeah.
it was totally like that. All of a sudden, it was okay. What's going on in drum world? I mean, you know, I took a 13-year vacation,
Yeah.
you know, and I come back to it, and everything's changed. I mean, the players, these guys that are coming up now, are just incredible with the you know, with the chops and just the ideas and just everything that's going on. So I was like absorbing all this stuff like in a ridiculous way. I was on mental overload, like big time. And yeah, man, I sat down there and I didn't tell her this, but you know, it'll be on the podcast or whatever. You know, I actually sat there, man, and you know, a couple little tears came out. You know, because it was kind of like just sitting there and saying hi to an old friend.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, it was a real emotional thing, you know, and just it got lit after that, and then it was like, I'm leaving work early to come home and play drums.
Shit.
You know,
That's a new animal right there.
yeah, I'm calling in sick, you know, all this stuff so I could play drums. And I just started recording videos over on my Instagram. I didn't even know how to work Instagram. My daughter had to show me this stuff, right? You know, and I was just filming covers just to document the process of. I think I did my first cover 3 months after sitting on the electric kit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the Humpty Dance of all songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out how to do it, and I just started putting up songs to document my progression.
Yeah.
If I could do it again.
Well, I watched your videos. I would have never known there was any break there, to be honest with you.
Oh, damn, man.
So yeah, I mean, you're a good player. So I don't think you lost a lot. I think it kind of clicked right back in for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I
So-
mean, I've been trying, and you know, there's a funny story to that too, where Dig Zackley, my business partner with the Williams Drumheads, when we met, you know, I hadn't even played an acoustic kit, and he was going to demo some cymbals for me to check out, Sentence cymbals.
Mhm.
And I sat down and started playing, and he goes, "What? How long have you been playing?" And I go, "I just started like 4 months ago again on on a electric drum kit." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that one." I'm like, seriously, man. So it's been quite a little ride.
Well, with drums being aside, what would be if someone was in a similar situation, what would be your biggest word of advice for them? Like, if something happened to me tomorrow, what would you say, to get me through that?
Don't give up.
Just push.
Just push, keep it moving. Sometimes you got to fight tooth and nail just to move forward an inch.
Mm-hmm.
But forward motion of any kind is better than backward motion.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody says you can't, okay, well, that's an opinion, that's not a fact.
Good, that's what I want to hear. That's awesome.
That's it. You just keep moving forward. Oh, you don't think I could do it? Oh, okay. Watch this.
I think we're so many different variations of humans. We all have different ways of doing it. You know what I mean?
My thing was I didn't own it. It's just, going back to drum talk, like, playing to a click and with a click, you know what I mean? Okay, well, I got shot. Okay, well, I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah.
Not be a victim because of it. And so it's the same thing. It's just like you just assimilate it as part of who you are, and you just keep moving forward. That's just it. And, you can't change it.
No.
So you got one of two choices: cry woe is me, or try and kick ass.
Hey, you kicking ass.
That's it. That's how you got to do it, man.
Kick ass.
As best as possible.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, but I kind of wanted to conclude that and just let everyone know your story is fucking awesome. And I mean, everyone has dark moments, but that's great to know you can pull out of them.
Yeah, I mean there are some days where I questioned. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bullet can move still. It's in my right knee, and I'm a right-handed player, so that's my kick drum leg.
Mm-hmm.
So there are days I get a few fits,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, ibuprofen it that day, there you go.
Yeah, but you're playing though.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the important thing. You just keep it moving.
Yeah. So kind of going into like more of the drum gear stuff again. I mentioned you turned me on to something called the William Drumheads, and I've been digging them ever since. Can you just talk about your affiliation with them and how you kind of got started with that product?
Yeah, that was about 2 years ago now. I was cruising around Instagram, and I saw a couple videos of some guys playing that had some pretty ridiculous chops, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can borrow anything he's doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking a look at the heads. I go, I've never heard of those at all. I'm like, what is this? So I sent a message to the company, and I liked the sound that I was hearing. And the company's like, oh yeah, we appreciate your, questions and inquiry, but we're not in the United States. We're working on it, so check back in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whatever. So a few months goes by, I hit them again. And basically they were like, look, we're just going to put you in contact with the owner. Maybe he can do something for you, And so the owner got in touch with me, and his name is Silvio Tonelli. Great guy. He's like the ultimate gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
And we had a conversation, and I was like, look, I'd like to buy a set of heads and try them out, and just kind of see what's out there. So he arranged for a set to get brought up. And this is funny because this went on for probably almost 3 months. He kept sending me a set of drum heads. I'd pay for them. He'd send them up here. FedEx lost them.
Ugh.
So I get with him. We do it again. And, this time I get half of the box with no heads. And I'm like, seriously, you guys are going to deliver me a piece of cardboard, with my name on it. But there's no box here. Like, what the hell, FedEx. And so I'm starting to think, like, man, he's in Brazil. I'm like, what's going on with this, man? I'm sending money to this guy,
Yeah.
And I keep not getting anything from FedEx. Well, FedEx kept dropping the ball. So finally, we got a set of heads up, and it was the Target dots.
The clear ones, right?
The clear Target dots. And so I'm like, I'm going to start with that. I'll start out with the deadest head possible just to see where I'm going to be, and what the heads are going to do. And to my surprise, man, I mean, I put them on. The tunability was right there. The response off the head was right there. The sound, they did exactly the opposite of what I thought they would do. It's a 2-ply 7 mil head, right, with a little bit of oil around the edge and then a dot in the center. That should be dead.
Yeah.
No, they're actually very lively and resonant. You
Yeah,
know?
you hear the 12-inch over there, and it has like almost like a higher end sound to it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. So I was like, well, you know what? Hey, can I try out a few more? And so he arranged for him to come up, and I put those on. I'm like, man, this is great, And so finally I was like, look, can I just buy direct from you? And he's like, well, he goes, I've looked up your name, because I had some things that I'd done in the past with, Fear Factor and ABC's making the band, not to name drop stuff, but,
Oh,
I've
that's
cut,
cool.
I've cut some records and done some work on that aspect, right?
Nice.
So he goes, do you really like the heads? And I was like, yeah, I do, actually. This is, love them. It's different. They're unique. But it's still my sound that I can get out of them, and the feel of them is great. And so he talked about a possible partnership of doing being an endorser of the brand. And I was like, okay, well, let's take it slow. And so we did. Finally, I signed on.
Nice.
And he wanted to bring it up to be the brand ambassador for the United States. And we did that and started getting some more heads up and just trying out all the different aspects, of the drum heads, all the different models. And so far, everything has been really well, with them. And now we partnered again just to go a step further. And, being the U.S. ambassador, now the distributor.
Nice.
For the U.S. market.
So people can buy direct from you. Is that correct?
Yes, they can buy direct from me or WilliamsDrumheads.us.
Nice.
Is where we're going to be. But we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. So we're just getting started with that. But for me, it's all about spreading the word now and getting them into as many drummers' hands as possible. But the cool thing is, and this is something that I want people to understand. For me, it's not about selling drum heads. I'm a drummer. I started out, as somebody wanting to try a product. I believe in it that much when I was putting out my own money to it. So the next evolution is this. So, you can trust, I know what I'm talking about with the drum heads because, I also play them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Nice. What is your now that you've been more accustomed to the lines? What are your top favorite lines? Like I know you brought up the target dots, but what are you experimenting with, and what are you looking forward to trying?
Right now, well, there's a couple of new ones that are going to be making an appearance here in the coming months.
Nice.
We'll just say it's similar to an Emperor, type of thing. But right now, it's actually going to be the Target series, and the Target series is similar to the Target Dot, just with no dot. 7 mil 2-ply with a little bit of oil around the edge. We have them in clear, red, blue, and black.
Nice.
Those are going to be like right in between an Emperor and an Evans.
Nice.
So that's kind of what I'm liking right now as a go-to drum head. But I mean, I'm also playing around, to be honest with you, with the coated, single plies.
Yeah, and they do the 1-ply clear as well, right?
Yeah, we have the 1-ply clear 10 mil for either batter or reso. Yeah.
And what are you guys offering for bass drum heads so far?
So far, all of the Target series and the Target Dot series are available in the bass drum sizes. Actually, all of them are available in bass drum sizes. For us in the U.S., we have two. We have the Silent Circle, which is a 7 mil, kind of unique. You don't really see a 7 mil on a bass drum batter.
Yeah.
With a muffle ring, kind of like a P3. And then the Silent Circle Extreme, which is the 10 mil version, which we just introduced, that also has a muffle ring on there.
And that's more for heavier stuff, or?
Yeah, they're both single plies. The 10 mil is going to be more your standard run of the mill. If you're into that single ply type of sound, like a Power Stroke, type of thing. But we are coming out with some 2-ply.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really I hardly don't really do this, but like I do dig the product. I mean, and I play a lot, and they've been holding up.
Oh, I know. I've seen your videos, man. You do play a lot.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm not a weekend warrior.
Right. Well, no, coming from you, it's actually a great thing because you do hit hard.
Yeah,
And like we had talked about before, put them through their paces. Let's see what they will and won't do, and they're surprisingly resilient, man.
yeah. I have no dents. They stay in tune. I mean, obviously, every time you sit behind a drum set, you tune them.
Yeah.
But I say they're in tune about 80-90% of the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They will hold their tuning. Part of that has to do with the short collars that are on them. That's one thing to anybody that does pick them up. You'll notice that they do have a very short collar to them. And basically, what that is you don't have that hard curvature in the collar to where your bearing edge just kind of ends up where it's going to end up, and hopefully it forms. This one, being that it's a round over and it's short, it is taking the shape of your particular drum's bearing edge.
Nice.
Whether even if they're a little bit on the, if there's imperfections in the edge, it'll still adhere to it because it's going to actually form to the drum.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are also doing? I don't know if it's too just going to say is you guys are doing drumsticks as well.
Yes, that's another thing that's very exciting. Williams does have a line of drumsticks, 7As, 5As, X5As, 5Bs, X5Bs. And for me, Happy Dance, I got my own signature model with the Williams drumsticks now.
I just tried them myself. I like the way they feel. I mean, they have a real big butt end on them, and you were saying they're more like a 3A, but yeah, they feel like a 5B to me.
Yeah, they're kind of a, it's 3A-ish, they're light enough to where you can, play lighter styles of music and still get some speed around the kit. But the shoulder and the taper is a little bit thicker to where you're going to get a little bit more power out of them. So, I mean, for me anyway, it's more of a dual type of stick. They're thinner than a 5B, thicker than a 5A. A little bit longer than a 5A is going to be, or a 5B for that matter, with a oval / barrel type of tip. So you get wide cymbal sounds. You don't have to really hit hard. You let the stick do the work. But if you need to throttle back a little bit and be dynamic, you can also do that too. And you still have great durability sitting on them.
Now, are you going to be a distributor for those as well?
Yes, I will be selling those direct as well as the other sticks that Williams has to offer. The sticks are weight balanced.
Nice.
And paired up in their little matchbox packaging and all that. Real pro stuff they got going on.
Now, I don't know. Probably in the future, Barry is going to be like releasing like customer-made signature models. Like, is that something?
That I don't know. Speaking with Silvio, he's very much a traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to that, it's one of those things. He still holds the title of endorsee,
Yeah.
or signature in very high regard. So I'm not sure how he's going to proceed with that with the drumsticks. I know he will introduce new models, in the future. But right now, it's going to be the standard stuff. And at the end of the day, the main thing is keeping the price point to where it's very affordable for everybody, but you're not sacrificing quality, durability, or sound or any of that, when you keep the cost down. So I think the sticks will come in at around $9.
That's pretty good. The pair you gave me, I think, lasted me for about 4 or 5 practice sessions.
Yeah, those are the 5As, weren't they?
Yeah, and honestly, that's hours and hours. So typically, I'm not gonna say a name, but that's like quadruple the length of life that you usually find in other sticks.
Right, and then that's what I was finding with some of the other companies that I've had relationships with in the past is, I'd sit down and I'd play about 4 or 5 hours a day usually, and I'm going through 2 and 3 pair.
Yeah.
I'm talking like, I'm rim shotting. I'm playing like I'm on stage. You practice how you want to perform.
Yeah.
And I hit things, man. You know what I mean? So when I was breaking a lot of sticks, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Even with the artist pricing, it was still like, this is getting kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So when we came up with this design, for my particular model, I'm finding now 1 pair of sticks will last me almost 2 weeks instead of 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, the case across the board. Because when I first started playing around with the Williams drumsticks, it was the 5A.
Mm-hmm.
And those were lasting. And I was like, wow, okay. All right, yeah, maybe we could do something here, but you got to keep trudging through it, because you don't want to have the Goldilocks, brick of sticks,
Yeah.
where everything's just perfect.
Uh,
And so far, so good. I mean, I have zero complaints, and for me, it's actually quite an honor because I'm actually the first endorsee of the Williams brand
nice.
internationally, and the first one for the company.
Jesus, that's badass.
So it's a pretty big honor for me, and I'm super thrilled about it.
So for drumsticks, it's the same link. WilliamsDrumHeads.us. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, right now it would be. We don't have anything listed because this is just now starting to come online.
But when it does, it will be on there.
Correct.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
So since we're on the gear subject, you kind of introduced me to I opened your practice spot, but you introduced me. I kind of want to go over your setup right now with Dixon drums and 10 cymbals.
Oh yeah.
How did you come across the Dixon drum brand?
Oh man, that was a gentleman by the name of Joe Beninati. He's a good friend of mine back east, and he puts up some videos, and we have a little dialogue going back and forth. And I was like, what is that you're using? And for him, it was the hardware. And he goes, oh yeah, it's Dixon. I haven't really seen Dixon too much.
I've only seen him for Greg Bisinati, like here and there, but Greg,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if you call him the face of it, but that's mainly where I saw him.
Yes, I saw Greg playing them, and God, there's Stan Lynch, is playing them. Now there's Zach Grooves, and the list goes on and on. So I was looking and just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Kind of dig the logo,
Yeah.
that weird logo they have on the drums, and I was like, it's kind of intriguing. They sound pretty good. And I like to just use different gear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went ahead and bought the pedal, tried it out, and in 10 minutes, man, I just started laughing. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous.
Is that a direct drive or a chain?
It's a chain drive, but it has the horizontal spring on there.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of bridges the gap between a direct and a chain, but it is a chain drive. And I started playing this pedal, and I'm like, this thing is ridiculous. So I'm like, it's time to take a chance on drums. And so we went ahead and ordered up, and it's a Cornerstone kit. It's like their production maple kit.
Mm-hmm.
Step above that is the Artisan, which is all custom. And, I was doing my research and everything and ordered up the kit, and the drums came in, and the finish was excellent. The edges are clean. The hardware isn't like, cheap chrome plating. It's actually nice, high polished chrome plating.
Nice.
The care in the kit impressed me, just bringing them right out of the box.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, let's set them up and see what they do. And I started playing them, and I have not heard drums sound or feel this good since my Tama Art Stars, back in the early 90s. And it gave me that sound. They're a little bit thicker maple shell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they resonate. They're round. They're full. Super easy to tune. But the lugs on them, check this one out. They use a lug pattern that's similar to Gretsch. So you have an 8-inch tom with 5 lugs on it instead of the 4. So these things are super easy to tune. They have their TMS mounts, free flow.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. What do they call them? Because they have like a rail on the side of them that are for or mic mounts.
Right, they have these 2 ears that come off the side, and you can put mics on there.
Mm-hmm.
They sell attachments for it, so it's a little goosenecks for the mics.
Why that's important to me? And sorry to jump in front of you, but
go ahead.
Footprint. Like you don't want 20 boom stands for mics, and just having everything in ease like that is kind of a big difference.
Oh, it is big time, and you can mount it right off the shell there. But the band that goes around it is similar in the way Tama does it, or the old rims mounts, the Gauger rims mounts. So the tension rod goes through the grommet, but they're also a little bit adjustable, so you don't have tension on the tension rods from the suspension band. So they float really, really well. Opens the drums up incredibly well. Very live, resonant drums. But they also have attachments you can put on there for cell phones.
Jesus.
iPads. I mean, whatever you want on these things. But it doesn't impede the shell at all.
Nice.
So yeah.
And you're playing at 8, 10, 12, 16?
Currently 8, 10, 12, 16. I think it's a 8x8, 10x8, 12x9, and then 16x16. So a little more on the traditional sizes, which I tend to like, the little bit deeper drums.
The 22, right?
Yes, 18x22.
Nice.
Incredible drums, dude. I mean, I can tell you right now, I mean, I love all drums, but these drums, just fit me, just like a glove. It's what I was looking for. And then don't even get me started on their snare drums.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw a hammered brass there. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you have that new, the lightning. You correct me.
The Enchanted Ash.
There you go. Yeah, I love that. That's 25 plies, right?
That's a 20-ply ash shell.
Jesus.
And let me back up on something real quick. Joe Beninati, he's the one that showed me about the brand, but more importantly, my buddy Edward Melton, who is also the first, Williams Drumheads U.S. endorsee.
Nice.
Him and I are really close. He bought a 6.5x14 blonde maple shell Dixon snare, and he tried it, and he goes through gear quite a bit. And he goes, "What better place to send it to you? Send it than to me." So he gifted it to me, which I thought was like super awesome, cool guy to do that. And I was like, okay, at this point, I can actually hear a drum. Before I ordered the kit, I totally spaced on that part. Yeah, sorry, Edward.
So you're also experimenting with their brass. Was that brass I saw? It was like a blue.
That is titanium plate over hammered steel.
That's nice. How's that sound?
Oh, dude, that thing is ridiculous. It is. It's hammered, so it's kind of dry.
Yeah.
For a metal, you don't get that super pingy type of sound from it, and it's surprisingly warmth, and the thing just looks incredible.
Nice.
So there's that. There's the Cornerstone Maple, which that one sounds great. That's the one from Edward Melton. And then the Enchanted Ash, yeah, it's a 20-ply, and they put these electrodes in the shell, and actually it looks like lightning bolt burns.
Yeah, I thought it was badass.
Yeah, no two drums are the same.
Nice.
So it's unique to each shell, and all three of those are 6.5x14s, and I mean, what can you say, dude? I mean, it's just, I get giddy talking about it, and like right now, my whole thing is just cycling through all the Dixon snares and, anything else I can get my hands on. Great company, man. Great company, high-end gear for sure.
And you also introduced me to, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, the sentence cymbals.
Yes. And that is actually how I met Digzactly.
Really?
And Juan Miranda, actually, he's out in Florida. So when I started doing videos, he reached out to me, "Hey, I love your playing, hey, have you ever heard of sentence cymbals?" And at that point, I was ready to start buying cymbals because I'd already picked up a drum kit. And him and I, started talking. So I reached out to Arthur Stones. He runs Sentence Cymbal USA, another just incredibly awesome guy. And basically, there's no showroom for him, okay? So I was like, well, I'd like to hear him. He goes, well, I have a couple guys out in the Phoenix area that play them. Let me put you in touch with them.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, I reach out to a guy named Digzactly, and I'm like, okay, I know his mom didn't name him that, man. I mean, it's like, come on, dude. So I reach out, and we come up with a day to be able to get together and try out some of his cymbals. And so we meet up at SER Studios, and I go over there, and this is when he called bullshit on how long I've been playing on the E-Kit. And I started playing on the cymbals, and I'm like, wow, like one was telling me there'd be 20 bronze or quality stuff, and I was like, yeah, well, I'll be the judge of that, Junior. You know what I mean? And I was pretty much blown away by the sound and the quality of them. So I went ahead and placed an order with Arthur. They do custom work for you, too. You want holes in your cymbals, you want to etch your name on it or your logo. They do custom weights, all this type thing. And so I started jumping down that rabbit hole. Again, being different, because I'd always played Zildjian pretty much my entire career. And I dabbled with Pasty for a little bit there as well. And, I have nothing bad to say about Zildjian or Pasty. They both make awesome cymbals. But, again, just being a little different. So ordered some up, and they came in. And they're warm, full-sounding cymbals, very complex if you want to go that route. Or you can have them bright and cutting. Like right now I'm playing the LAD series, which is going to be just your standard, like Zildjian type of lathing.
Nice.
that's on them with raw bells.
Well, I noticed you just said I played at your place was on the thinner side, which I like thinner cymbals.
Yes.
So they were just clean. Like it felt like they were just cutting, but they were clean.
Yeah, and they will do that. And that was just a standard players pack. There are a few pieces in there that were custom done. Like I had a set of hi-hats made for me. We call them the Geminis.
Nice.
Where fully reversible.
Huh.
You know, so you have an unlathed, burnt, looks like a piece of burnt toast, top cymbal that's really thin with a extra heavy, fully lathed bottom cymbal that's brilliant. So you want more stick definition, flip them over. You want a little bit looser hi-hat sound, a little more musical hi-hat sound, you go back over to the thinner top. Same thing with the ride cymbals. We have the Gemini ride.
Really?
Yeah, where you have two different lathings, like a fine on the bottom and a heavy lathing on the top.
Nice.
Kind of gives a unique sound. But yeah, anybody looking for cymbals, contact Arthur Stones or check out Sentent Cymbals USA. It's Centent.
So it's Centent, right?
Yes.
Nice.
And
Got that one right.
yeah, they're making good stuff, man. They really are, and the price is literally, I would say half, if not a little bit less than half of what you're going to be paying for full bore Zildjians.
Nice. So obviously, the search really never ends. But what gear are you looking forward to? Drums, cymbals, etc. What's on your wish list right now?
To be honest with you, I want to get into a Dixon artisan kit and
Nice.
just have it fully made in oak.
Nice. Those are loud.
Yeah, with gold hardware. I want to go full board, but
So it's like the nice furniture kit that doesn't leave the house.
Well, their artisan drums are full custom made to order. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that at first. I thought it was just like, okay, you can just get a maple shell. No, they do oak, they do thin maple, thicker maple, they'll do birch, mahogany, combinations of them, because they own their own molds.
Oh, nice.
Which I didn't know. Gold plating, black chrome, the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, literally, you can build your full dream kit through those guys. It's incredible.
Nice. Well, Tommie, it was great to have you on. I'm really excited to see where you go with William Drumheads. Like I said, the link was williamdrumheads.usa, right?
Yes.
US.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a real pleasure to have you on. I hope your story kind of inspires, and I mean it did for me. It pretty much tells me I have no excuse. You know what I mean? So it's awesome. Is there anyone you want to plug before we go out here?
Of course, and man, I can't show enough appreciation to all these guys, guys that have been supporting the Williams cause here in the U.S. We have Walter Williams, David Iba of New Dissidents. We just signed on David Sheff, Cesar Ramirez of Corrupt. He's doing like a death thrashing. I mean, we have guys all over the place.
That's
we
good.
we have worship drummers, speed metal drummers, punk drummers. We have Dig Zackley.
Nice.
Ross Brotman, he's in a pretty actually big band right now doing an Eagles cover band. And I saw those guys, and dude, I was at the Eagles show
Really?
watching these guys. They're incredible. Mike Long, Hugo Francisco, Edward Melton, Trey Calhoun, Brett Sipples, Craig Parton of Parton Custom Drums.
Nice.
He's actually using the heads, T.E. Carrion. So, hats off to all these guys. For showing support and just helping further the cause, and it's nice, and I'm meeting a lot of great guys.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a big networking.
Yeah, I mean all these guys I consider dear friends, and just a lot of love going on, man. So yeah, man, check out Williams Drumheads, be part of the Williams family.
Yeah, well, Tommie, it's been a real pleasure to have you on. I know we're going to see a lot more coming from your channel and Williams Drumheads. So thank you.
Not a problem, man. Thank you.